The Imperial scout ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its sleek silver hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Inside the command center, First Scout Leader Rex smiled at the familiar sight of yet another developing solar system. His crew had performed this routine hundreds of times before. Find a promising civilization, make first contact, and begin the integration process into the mighty Galactic Empire. Life signs are concentrated on the third planet, sir, reported his sensor officer. Primitive space stations in orbit, basic propulsion technology, and early-stage planetary defense systems. Standard Class 3 civilization markers. Rex nodded, already drafting the initial contact message in his mind. These missions were always the same. The locals would be amazed by their advanced technology, eager to join the Empire, and grateful for the guidance of a superior civilization. He opened his mouth to give the order to proceed when his communications officer suddenly straightened in his chair. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission, in perfect Imperial standard." Rex frowned. That wasn't possible. Class 3 civilizations shouldn't even know Imperial standard existed, let alone be able to transmit in it. "Put it through," he ordered. A holographic screen materialized in front of him, showing the human male in a crisp blue uniform. The man's expression was calm but firm, his posture radiating quiet confidence. "This is Captain Marcus Reed of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. The Sol system is off-limits to the Galactic Empire. Please acknowledge and retreat beyond the Kuiper Belt boundary." The bridge crew erupted in barely contained laughter. Rex himself couldn't help but smile at the absurdity. A Class 3 civilization declaring its space off-limits to the Empire. It was like watching a baby tell a giant to go away. "Captain Reed," Rex replied, his tone dripping with amusement. "I am First Scout Leader Rex of the Galactic Empire. Perhaps you don't understand the situation. We are here to begin your world's integration process. This is a great honor. No developing civilization has ever been denied the Empire's guidance." The human captain's expression didn't change. "No, First Scout Leader, it is you who doesn't understand the situation. We are not denying your guidance. We are forbidding your entry. This is not a negotiation. You have 30 minutes to retreat beyond the designated boundary." Rex's amusement turned to irritation. This was becoming a waste of time. "Captain, your scanning technology is clearly primitive. You cannot possibly understand the power difference between us. A single Imperial scout ship could overcome your entire planet's defenses." 29 minutes, Reed replied calmly. "I suggest you use them wisely." The transmission cut off. Rex stared at the empty space where the hologram had been, his mandibles clicking in annoyance. "Scan their military capabilities," he ordered. His crew worked quickly, their advanced sensors probing the solar system. The results were exactly as expected. A handful of orbital platforms, primitive kinetic weapons, and basic energy shielding. Nothing that could possibly threaten an Imperial vessel. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from their outer system defense satellites, but they're probably just interference from their crude technology." Rex stood up from his command chair. These humans needed a small demonstration of power to understand their place. "Move us into the system. Let's show them what happens when." The ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every console. "Report," Rex barked. "Sir, we're locked in place. Some kind of system-wide quantum field is preventing any FTL calculations. We can't enter hyperspace." "Impossible," Rex muttered. "Use sublight engines. Push through whatever primitive trap this is." The engines roared to life, but the ship didn't move an inch. On the main viewport, a new set of lights began appearing throughout the solar system. Thousands of them, forming an intricate web of defensive positions that their initial scans had somehow missed. The communication screen lit up again. Captain Reed's face appeared, still wearing that same calm expression. "First Scout Leader, you have 25 minutes remaining. I recommend you use your backup sublight drives to leave while you still can. The quantum lock will be released once you pass the boundary. He paused, then added, "Oh, and please inform your superiors. Earth is closed to Imperial traffic. Permanently." As the screen went dark again, Rex stared out at the impossible defense grid illuminating the space around his ship. For the first time in his long career as a first scout, he felt something he'd never expected to feel during a routine first contact mission. Fear. 6 months earlier, Dr. Anna Thompson stared at her quantum scanner's display, rechecking the readings for the 20th time. The results hadn't changed, and they painted a disturbing picture of the Galactic Empire's true nature. She looked up at her team in the Quantum Observatory's main lab, their faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. "Wake up the Council," she said quietly. "They need to see this now." 2 hours later, she stood before the United Earth Council in their underground chamber beneath the Rocky Mountains. 50 of humanity's leaders sat in a semicircle, their faces grave as they studied the data projected in the air before them. "As you can see," Dr. Thompson explained, pointing to a series of energy graphs, "our deep space quantum sensors detected something unusual about Empire-controlled worlds. Each planet shows a steady decline in both physical and dimensional energy levels." Council President Robert Walker leaned forward. "Explain it in simple terms, Doctor. What exactly are they doing to these planets?" Thompson took a deep breath. "They're feeding on them, Mr. President. The Empire's benevolent integration is actually a careful process of resource extraction. They install what they call development infrastructure on each world, but these installations are actually massive energy siphons." She switched to a new display, showing a planet's energy signature over time. "This is the colony world of Centauri Prime. When they joined the Empire 300 years ago, their planetary energy levels were similar to Earth's. Now," she pressed a button, and the graph plummeted. "They've lost nearly 40% of their core energy. At this rate, the planet will be unable to support complex life within another 4 centuries." Murmurs of shock and anger filled the chamber. Defense Minister Jack Torres stood up, his voice tight with controlled rage. "Are you saying they're literally draining the life force from planets?" "Exactly," Thompson nodded. "The Empire's technology doesn't just take physical resources, it drains fundamental energy at the quantum level. Everything from a planet's magnetic field to its dimensional stability is affected. They're like vampires, feeding on entire worlds." "And they've been hiding this?" asked Torres. "Brilliantly," Thompson replied, bringing up another display. "They use their advanced technology to mask the symptoms. Environmental controls hide the effects. Medical technology keeps the population healthy despite the degrading conditions. By the time a planet realizes something's wrong, they're too dependent on Empire technology to resist." President Walker's face hardened. "How did we discover this when no one else has?" Thompson allowed herself a small smile. "Because they think we're primitive, sir. Their scans showed exactly what we wanted them to see. A Class 3 civilization with basic space technology. They have no idea about our quantum detection capabilities or our consciousness-transferred AI systems. We're the first civilization to spot their trick before they could spring it." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had been preparing for first contact with the Empire for years, expecting to join a benevolent galactic community. Instead, they'd discovered they were dealing with parasites who wrapped their feeding in the guise of civilization. "Options?" Walker asked, looking at his military advisors. Defense Minister Torres stood again. "We've been building our defenses quietly for years, sir. The Sol defense grid is nearly complete. Our quantum shielding technology can block their energy siphons, and thanks to Dr. Thompson's discovery, we know exactly what we're facing. And if they try to force the issue, then they'll learn that humanity is far more advanced than they think." Torres smiled grimly. "Our ships may look primitive on the outside, but with our consciousness-transferred AIs and quantum weapons, we can match anything they throw at us." Walker nodded slowly, then turned to address the full council. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to do something unprecedented. We're going to tell the mighty Galactic Empire that they're not welcome here. He looked at each council member in turn. The vote will now begin. All those in favor of declaring the Sol system off-limits to the Empire. 50 hands rose without hesitation. Then it's decided. Walker declared, "Earth doesn't bow to parasites. Let them come. They'll find humanity is not the easy prey they were expecting." In her seat, Dr. Thompson felt a mixture of pride and apprehension. They had unveiled the Empire's great secret, but now came the hard part, standing their ground against the largest civilization in known space. The next 6 months would change everything. Commander James Wilson stood at the window of Lunar Base Alpha, watching the massive construction robots assemble another quantum defense platform. The platform's dark metal surface absorbed the harsh sunlight, making it nearly invisible against the black of space. That was the point. Everything humanity built had to look primitive or broken to Imperial scanners. "Status report," he called out to his team, turning back to the control room. "Defense Grid Section 7 is online," reported Lieutenant Tom Baker from his console. AI integration is at 98%. The consciousness transfer was successful. The platforms are thinking faster than any human could. Wilson nodded, walking over to the main display where a holographic map showed the entire Sol system. Thousands of green dots marked their defensive positions, each one hosting a quantum-linked AI that had once been a volunteer human consciousness, transferred into the perfect reflexes of a machine. "And the camouflage systems. Working perfectly, sir," answered Technical Officer Lisa Moore. She pulled up a side display, showing Imperial scan patterns. "Look at this. Their probes see nothing but basic satellites and some primitive weapon platforms. The quantum masking field makes our real technology invisible to their sensors." Wilson allowed himself a small smile. 6 months of non-stop work was paying off. Earth had always been more advanced than it appeared, but now they were taking it to another level. Every planet and moon in the system hosted hidden defensive installations. Jupiter's moons concealed massive energy weapons. Saturn's rings hid thousands of automated fighter craft. The door slid open, and Dr. Thompson walked in, carrying her ever-present datapad. "Commander, we finished the final tests on the quantum lock system." "Will it work?" Wilson asked, turning to face her. "Better than we hoped." She tapped her pad, and a new simulation appeared in the air. "Once activated, the field will prevent any faster-than-light travel within the entire solar system. The Empire's ships will be trapped at sublight speeds, and our gravity manipulators can stop even that." Wilson watched the simulation, showing Imperial ships frozen in space, caught in humanity's trap, and they won't detect it until it's too late. The energy signature is completely masked. They'll think they're dealing with primitive technology right up until the moment they're caught. Thompson's expression turned serious. "Have you completed the weapons integration?" Wilson gestured to another display, this one showing the specifications of Earth's hidden fleet. Every ship is equipped with the new quantum-pierce weapons. Standard Imperial shields work by bending space-time around their vessels. Our weapons bypass that completely. They'll never know what hit them. And the crews. All consciousness-transferred AIs, just like the defense platforms. They can react thousands of times faster than organic pilots. Even the Empire's best warriors won't be able to match their speed. Thompson nodded, but her eyes were worried. "It still seems impossible, doesn't it? A single solar system standing against an empire that spans thousands of worlds." Wilson walked back to the window, looking out at Earth hanging blue and peaceful in the black void. "Maybe. But we have something they don't. Everything to lose. They're coming to feed on our world, to drain it until it's just another dying husk in their collection. We're fighting for our home." "Commander," Baker called out suddenly. "Long-range sensors are picking up Imperial scout vessels approaching the Kuiper Belt." Wilson straightened his uniform. This was it. The moment they'd been preparing for. "Sound General Quarters." Begin consciousness transfer to all combat units. Activate the camouflage fields. He turned to Thompson. Doctor, get to the quantum control center. When they cross the boundary, I want that lock field ready. As alarms began to sound throughout the base, Wilson took one last look at Earth. The Empire thought they were approaching a primitive world, easy prey for their energy-draining technology. Instead, they were flying straight into humanity's trap. Time to show them why you don't threaten Earth, he muttered, then turned to his crew. Battle stations, everyone. Let's give the Empire a welcome they'll never forget. High Commander Rax stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship Eternal Glory, his tall frame casting a shadow across the command deck. Around him, a fleet of 50 warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. The scout ship's report about Earth's defiance had been concerning. Display the human defense forces, he ordered. The holographic display showed a scattered collection of primitive satellites and crude defense platforms, nothing that could possibly threaten an Imperial fleet. Rax clicked his mandibles in amusement. These humans needed to learn their place in the galaxy. Open a channel to their leadership, he commanded. Let's show them what real power looks like. The screen lit up, showing the same human from before, Captain Marcus Reed. The human's calm expression hadn't changed, even in the face of overwhelming Imperial force. This is High Commander Rax of the Galactic Empire, Rax announced, his voice dripping with authority. Your defiance ends now. Submit to Imperial authority or face immediate destruction. Reed's response was unexpected. He smiled. High Commander, your scout ship should have delivered our message. The Sol system is closed to Imperial traffic. This is your only warning. Leave, or we will remove you. Rax's anger flared. No primitive species had ever dared to speak to him this way. You fool. Look around you. He gestured to his fleet. Each of these ships could reduce your entire civilization to ash. You have no concept of the power you're facing. Actually, Reed replied calmly, we understand your power perfectly. We also understand what you really are. Parasites who drain worlds dry under the guise of integration. That ends here. Rax froze. How could they possibly know about the energy extraction? No developing world had ever detected it before installation. You're making a terrible mistake, he growled. Fleet, advance to attack positions. The Imperial ship surged forward and stopped dead in space. Sir, his navigator called out in panic. Hyperspace fields are collapsing. Some kind of system-wide quantum interference. Rax spun to his tactical display. Impossible readings were flooding in. The primitive defense platforms were transforming, their surfaces shifting to reveal advanced weapon systems. Hidden installations were appearing throughout the solar system, their energy signatures far beyond anything a Class 3 civilization should possess. What is this? He demanded. On the screen, Reed's smile hadn't wavered. This, High Commander, is humanity showing its real face. Those primitive scans you relied on. We wanted you to see that. The helpless civilization you thought you found. That was bait in a trap. And you just walked right into it. New ships were appearing now. Earth vessels that had been cloaked by quantum fields. Their design was strange, unlike anything in Imperial records. Their movements were impossibly fast and precise. Sir, his sensor officer shouted, those ships, they're not crude. They're running on some kind of transferred consciousness. The reaction times are beyond organic capability. Rax's mind raced. This couldn't be happening. A single system couldn't have this level of technology without the Empire knowing. It was impossible. Last chance, High Commander, Reed said. Leave our system, or we'll make you leave. Rax drew himself up to his full height. He still commanded the most powerful fleet in this sector. These humans might have some tricks, but they couldn't possibly match Imperial firepower. You had your chance for peace, he snarled. All ships, open fire. Show these primitives what happens when you challenge the Empire. The order had barely left his mouth when the quantum lock field fully activated. Every Imperial ship froze in place, unable to maneuver. The hidden defense platforms powered up, their weapons looking suddenly very, very real. On the screen, Reed shook his head. Wrong choice, Commander. All units, weapons free. Show the Empire why Earth is off limits. The space around Rax's fleet lit up with weapon fire, and for the first time in his long military career, the High Commander felt something he'd never expected to feel. Terror. Admiral Mary Cooper watched from Earth Command as humanity's hidden fleet engaged the Imperial Armada. Her consciousness-transferred AI commanders were performing perfectly, their ships moving with impossible speed and precision. Status report, she ordered, her eyes fixed on the massive tactical display showing the battle in real time. Enemy fleet is completely locked down by the quantum field, reported Commander Wilson from the lunar base. Their ships can only use emergency thrusters. Our AI vessels are running circles around them. The display showed the truth of his words. The once mighty Imperial warships hung almost motionless in space, while Earth's smaller vessels darted between them like angry wasps. Each human ship was piloted by an AI that had once been a volunteer human consciousness, giving them reaction times thousands of times faster than organic crews. First wave, engage, Cooper commanded. Show them what our quantum-pierce weapons can do. Streams of blue energy lanced out from Earth's ships, passing straight through the Imperial vessels' shields as if they weren't there. The Empire's supposedly impenetrable defenses, based on warping space-time, were useless against weapons that operated on quantum principles they'd never encountered. On her command screen, High Commander Rax's face appeared, his alien features twisted with rage and disbelief. This is impossible. Your weapons, they're bypassing our strongest shields. Impossible. Cooper allowed herself a small smile. No, High Commander. We've been preparing for this day for years. While you thought we were primitive, we were studying your weaknesses. Your shields can't stop weapons that pierce quantum space itself. Another Imperial ship erupted in a cascade of secondary explosions as quantum-pierce beams cut through its reactor core. The massive vessel split in half, its crew evacuating in emergency pods. All ships, focus fire on their command and control systems. Cooper ordered. Disable, don't destroy. We want survivors to carry our message back to the Empire. The battle continued, but it wasn't really a battle anymore. It was a demonstration. Earth's forces moved with perfect coordination, their AI pilots executing maneuvers that would have killed organic crews. The Imperial fleet, still trapped by the quantum lock, could only watch as their ships were systematically disabled. Admiral. Wilson's voice cut through the command channel. They're trying to activate some kind of emergency jump system. They're attempting to break through the quantum lock. Cooper's eyes narrowed. Just as we expected. Dr. Thompson, you're up. From her station at the Quantum Control Center, Dr. Thompson activated the final part of Earth's trap. As the Imperial ships tried to force their way into hyperspace, their power systems suddenly went dead. What? What did you do to our ships? Rax demanded, real fear creeping into his voice. We turned your own technology against you. Thompson replied, joining the command channel. Those energy-draining systems you use on your colony worlds. We figured out how to reverse them. Right now, your ship's power is being siphoned directly into our defense grid. Cooper stood up, addressing the Imperial commander directly. Your fleet is dead in space, High Commander. You have no shields, no weapons, and no power. Do you surrender? For a long moment, Rax said nothing. Around his flagship, the mighty Imperial fleet drifted helplessly, their ships dark and powerless. Finally, his shoulders slumped. We surrender, he ground out. Good choice. Cooper nodded. Rescue ships will collect your crews. You'll be treated well and released with a message for your leaders. Earth is off limits to the Empire. Try to enter our system again, and next time we won't be so gentle. As Earth's rescue ships moved in to collect the Imperial survivors, Cooper looked out at the battlefield. 50 of the Empire's finest warships had been defeated in less than an hour, without a single human casualty. The message would be impossible to ignore. "Send word to the Council," she ordered. "The Empire's first attempt to enter our space has failed, but they'll be back. And next time, they'll bring everything they have." The real war was just beginning. Dr. Anna Thompson stood in the captured Imperial Communications Center aboard the surrendered flagship. Around her, Earth's technical teams worked quickly, connecting their quantum computers to the Empire's network systems. They had only a small window of time before the Empire realized what was happening. "How much longer?" she asked Tom Baker, who was typing rapidly at the main console. "Almost there," he replied, his fingers flying over the alien keyboard. "Their encryption is good, but our AIs are better. Just a few more." "Got it." The screen in front of them lit up with access to the Empire's galaxy-wide communications network. Thompson nodded to Commander Wilson, who stood ready at the broadcast station. "Send the package. Send it to every colony world, every space station, every Imperial outpost. Don't miss a single receiver." Wilson pressed the activation key, and humanity's message began to spread across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, Imperial communication systems suddenly activated, displaying the truth Earth had discovered. The message was simple and devastating. It showed the Empire's energy-draining technology in action, revealed through Earth's quantum scans. The data was undeniable, clear evidence of how each integrated world was slowly being drained of its life force. Graphs showed the declining energy levels of colonial planets. Medical data revealed rising illness rates that Imperial technology carefully concealed. "They're trying to shut down the network," Baker reported, watching enemy countermeasures appear on his screen. "But our AI viruses are keeping the channels open. They can't stop the broadcast." On the main display, they could see the message spreading like wildfire. Colonial worlds were responding, their own sensors suddenly active, checking their planetary energy levels. The truth Earth had discovered was being confirmed millions of times over. "Imperial High Command is in chaos," Wilson reported, monitoring their reactions. "They're trying to claim it's fake, but too many worlds are confirming the data. Their whole facade is crumbling." Thompson watched as responses began flooding in from across the galaxy. Colony after colony reported the same findings. Their worlds were being drained, their futures stolen by the very empire that claimed to protect them. "Message from the Council," Wilson said suddenly. "The first colonial world just declared independence. New Earth colony in the Centauri system. They're asking for our help." More messages followed quickly. As each world confirmed Earth's revelations, more colonies began to break away from the Empire. Some faced resistance from Imperial forces, but many local Imperial commanders, shocked by the truth, sided with their colonial charges. "Dr. Thompson," Baker called out, "we're receiving a priority transmission from the Orion colonies. They want to know if we can help them shield their planets from the energy drain." Thompson smiled. This was what they had hoped for, not just resistance, but a chance to help others. "Tell them yes. Earth will share our quantum shielding technology with any world that wants to break free from Imperial control." The next few hours were a blur of activity. More colonies declared independence. Imperial ships across the galaxy stood down or joined the revolution. The Empire's careful web of lies, maintained for thousands of years, unraveled in a single day. "Update from Earth Command," Wilson reported. "They're calling it the Great Awakening. Over 40% of Imperial colonies have already declared independence. The Empire's control is falling apart sector by sector." Thompson looked at the galactic map, watching as more and more systems turned from Imperial red to Independence blue. "They thought we were just one primitive world they could bully," she said quietly. "Instead, we became the spark that lit the galaxy on fire." "What happens now?" Baker asked, still monitoring the flood of responses. "Now." Thompson's eyes were fixed on the growing number of free worlds. "Now we help build something better. The Empire tried to feed on worlds. We'll teach them how to protect themselves instead." Wilson nodded. "Earth won't just be the planet that said no to the Empire. We'll be the planet that helped set the galaxy free." As if to emphasize his words, another cluster of systems declared independence, their signals joining the growing chorus of worlds choosing freedom over imperial control. The age of the Empire was ending, and it had all started because Earth refused to be another victim. 1 year after Earth's defiance changed the galaxy, the scene in orbit above the blue planet was very different from what the Empire had first encountered. Ships from 100 different worlds moved through space, their designs as varied as their origins. But they all had one thing in common. Each carried the symbol of the newly formed Free Systems Alliance. Captain Marcus Reed stood on the observation deck of Orbital Station Unity, watching as another group of colonial representatives arrived for the first Galactic Freedom Conference. Next to him, Admiral Mary Cooper smiled as she recognized the ships. "The Centauri delegation," she said, "first to declare independence after us, and now they're bringing 3 more liberated systems into the Alliance." Reed nodded. "Hard to believe it's only been a year since we told the Empire to stay out of our system." "A year since you told them," Cooper corrected. "That calm morning of yours is still playing on screens across the galaxy. You're quite famous, you know." Before Reed could respond, Dr. Thompson hurried onto the deck, her data pad displaying new readings. "The latest reports are in," she announced. "With our quantum shielding technology, the colonial worlds are beginning to recover. Energy levels are stabilizing, and in some cases, even increasing." The main display showed a galaxy map, but now the Imperial Red had shrunk to barely a quarter of its former territory. The rest glowed with the blue of free systems or the green of neutral zones. "How's the Empire taking it?" Reed asked. "Not well," Cooper replied. "Our intelligence suggests they're struggling to maintain control of even their core worlds now. Turns out when you build an empire on secrets and lies, the truth becomes your worst enemy." The station's AI announced new arrivals. Commander Wilson entered with several alien representatives, former Imperial citizens who had chosen freedom over empire. "The first session is about to begin," Wilson reported. "Every liberated system has sent delegates. Even some Imperial worlds have sent secret representatives, looking for a way out." Thompson looked up from her data. "And the defense network?" "Stronger than ever," Wilson assured her. "The quantum technology we developed to protect Earth has been adapted for every member world. The Empire can't drain energy from protected planets anymore. Their whole parasitic system is falling apart." Reed turned to watch as more ships arrived through the quantum gates, another Earth innovation that was replacing Imperial hyperspace technology. The new ships moved with the same precise grace as Earth vessels, their crews enhanced by consciousness transfer systems freely shared with Alliance members. "To think," Thompson mused, "they thought they were finding another primitive world to feed on. Instead, they found the one civilization that could see through their lies. And had the courage to say no," Cooper added. "That's what really changed everything. Not just our technology, but our refusal to submit even when faced with what looked like overwhelming power." Wilson checked his display. "It's time. The conference is starting. As Earth's representatives, we should." He was interrupted by a priority alert. The station's AI announced, "Emergency broadcast from Imperial Center. The Emperor is making an announcement." They gathered around the main screen as the aged Emperor appeared. His once proud bearing was gone, replaced by resignation. "To all worlds under Imperial protection," he began, his voice weak. "The Empire hereby recognizes the independence of all member systems. Our time of leadership has ended. We seek peaceful relations with the Free Systems Alliance." And the announcement continued, but the Earth team had heard enough. After thousands of years, the Empire was officially surrendering its power. "Well," Reed said quietly, "I guess we did more than just ban them from Earth. We ended their whole empire." "No," Thompson corrected. "We gave people the truth and the tools to protect themselves. They chose freedom on their own." Cooper gestured to the gathering delegations. "Should we join the conference? The real work is just beginning." Building something better than the Empire will take time. Reed took one last look at the ships orbiting his home planet. Earth had stood alone against an empire, and in doing so, had helped free the galaxy. Now it was time to help build a future where no civilization would prey on another again. "Let's go," he said. "We have a new alliance to build, and this time, everyone gets an equal voice." As they walked to the conference chamber, the stars seemed to shine brighter. The age of empire was over. The age of freedom had begun.